Okay, so we've talked about those 6 elements that make things funny. Now let's look specifically at the comedic ladder. Alright, so the first element, this is the highest form of comedy on the comedic ladder, is a comedy of ideas. So we're laughing at the implication of what ideas say. To understand this level of comedy, you have to have a knowledge of what's going on in the world around you, and have some kind of capability of recognizing wit and subtle humor. So this is going to be where characters talk about things like politics, those hot topics that you usually stay away from, but they're making fun of them. There's a lot of clever wordplay in this kind of humor, this comedy of ideas, lots of mocking. It's a subtle way of satirizing people, institutions, government, things like that. We're not going to actually watch these videos, but you guys can. So a lot of stand-up comics do this, and then also Saturday Night Live skits. Crazily enough, they're making fun of current events, of political figures, of hot issues of the day. That's all comedy of ideas, and remember, comedy of ideas includes all the other rungs. So there's a lot of lower comedy in those things as well. But ultimately, what they're making fun of is, a set of ideas. So, okay, the next rung is comedy of manners. So this is a lower rung. This is laughing at words, laughing at kind of actions. You don't quite fit in with society. You don't do what society says. It's Pretty Woman, where Julia Roberts is sitting at the table at a fancy restaurant and she doesn't belong and accidentally uses the wrong forks and then throws her little shrimp or clam or whatever, scallop, across the restaurant. It's a comedy of manners. So lots of witty language, lots of clever speech, insults, put-downs, etc. So it's all about, this society has certain rules, and it's funny then when people either break those rules, make fun of those rules, etc. So if you've ever seen Seinfeld, that's all about comedy of manners. Alright, the next lowest rung is farce. This is laughing at situations. Okay, the plot here is full of coincidences, of mistimings, mistaken identities. Characters here are just kind of, they're stuck in the world and fate's just kind of rough with them. They're born to the wrong class, they're too rich, too poor, etc. There's twins separated at birth and then they come back and find each other. So examples of this would be I Love Lucy. And this particular video is where the chocolates are coming out and Lucy's trying to wrap them all and it gets faster and faster and she can't help the situation. She's a victim to fate. And so she's grabbing all of the chocolates and stuffing them in her shirt and her hat and putting them in her mouth and things like that. So that's an example of farce. Let's see if we can. Okay, and then the last rung, and this is the lowest rung, this is low comedy. This is where we're actually laughing at people. This is physical humor. You hit somebody on the head, they run into a door, pull your seat out from under them. This is dirty jokes, raw, kind of rough humor, bad language. A lot of times, lots of physical mishaps going on. Example would be Laurel and Hardy, Three Stooges. You guys, I'm sure, are familiar with that. This is all silent, I think, so a few examples of some slapstick here. Alright, so you get the idea. Alright, so that's the comedic ladder. The only other thing to remember is that to get to the top step, you have to step on all the other steps. So our top comedy of ideas includes comedy of manners, farce, and low comedy. Okay, low comedy is just plain low comedy, though. There's nothing under it. The importance of being earnest falls most strongly here, the comedy of manners. It's making fun of Victorian society. So these are the rules of Victorian society, and then Oscar Wilde makes fun of those rules.